Alright, what's up, guys? Today on the Kickers podcast, we're going to be talking to XANDER. We've asked him to prepare a couple hunting stories for us to tell us about really his experiences out in the outdoors hunting. Hopefully this encourages some of you to want to try to hunt. And so that's what we want to get done with this podcast, is to try to encourage somebody with these stories to want to hunt. If they're good stories, ending as killing something, or if they're just stories of him not succeeding but having a great time, some memories. So let's get started. What are some stories? I've asked you to prepare a couple. Some stories. You killed a buck this year. What was the story behind that one?
So, that buck this year, I drew a limited entry tag here in the state of Utah with my bow. So, it's kind of weird because I drew that tag, and then about a couple weeks later, my dad, like my only hunting partner, honestly, got asked to go to a wedding for his niece. So that all went down. So it was kind of just me and a couple of kids from my school. We were going to go out and try and find a big deer. And so that night, we drove out the night before, to kind of look for some bucks. And we found one that was he was a shooter, because it's a good buck on that unit. It's like a 160 type deer.
Yeah.
So that next morning, the anticipation of opening day, got up and we got to that spot, and right off the bat, boom, we glassed him up. Everything was like going too perfect,
Mm-hmm.
We was working, wind was good. We come around this bend. We knew with our wind, we was going to have to work up from under him, which, is not the ideal, but got to do what your wind provides you with. And get on that ridge to start working down under him to go back up and jump a coyote right at this deer.
Oh.
Jump a coyote runs up to him. He was gone. So we're walking out, we get about 100 yards from this road, and this just a big frame deer comes and stops at 73 yards. And I go to pull back, and he's a 5x3 is what he ended up being. Go to pull back, and a four-wheeler V-lines it for this buck. So, old bucks don't stick around with that. He was gone before anything happened. Then, kind of just that dead of the day, sitting around camp. Nothing's really going on. But we decided to drive to, it's called Moon Ridge, one of the nastiest canyons you'll ever see. But there's big deer. Blast up this buck. He is probably a 183x4. Worked across the canyon to work down on this deer. And one of his does bust. And the guy I was with, he said that was him, he's gone, all that stuff. But this little 4-point sticks his head out, and I was like, I just want to see how close I can get, And get about 50 yards from this buck, and I thought that bigger buck was gone. About 10 yards from me, he stands up, and I thought he was an elk for a second. Great big body, Roman nose, and everything. Looks at me, and I didn't even have time to react. He was gone. But about an hour later, we glassed up the deer that I ended up shooting. He was across about 1,000 yards from the truck. So we walk across the canyon to get on him. And we're working towards this one pine tree, and I never even seen the deer till he stepped out and gave me a shot. But all the people I was with are saying that's the deer to shoot. He's a good buck. We were working around there, and the guy that was stalking with me, he's wide, he's tall, he's got forks, he's a good deer. So we worked around there, and we was working towards the pine tree that he was under when we last seen him, and our wind switched. We were right towards that pine tree. So we're like, oh crap, don't know what's really going to happen here. And all of a sudden, this little 2-point sticks his head out and starts feeding 60 yards from us. Then a little 3-point, and then the buck I ended up killing steps out. He steps out, and guy ranges him for me, and I say, how far? And he said 62 the first time. I pulled back, and my nerves got to me, and I put that 70 pin right there, and I let it fly.
Dang.
And then that little 3-point was standing behind him, and I grazed that 3-point. That 3-point, when I shot, he kicked, and I thought I hit him for a minute. Then he ran out and had no signs of being hit, so we went back after that big buck. He only ran about 10 yards. Pulled back on him again at 62. Then he walked behind the one tree I couldn't shoot. And then walked around a little bit more and stopped him at 63 and hit him a little farther back that night and left him, backed out. That feeling's never good when you don't know if he's dead or alive.
Yeah.
Backed out, and then we came back in there the next morning, found good blood, and found him. So it all ended up pretty well.
Yeah, so through this hunt, how much work went into that hunt, would you say, estimate?
Oh, shoot. I know we hunted hard. We only hunted for a day, technically. That day, we hunted equal to 10 days. We didn't really stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, work's not just physical effort, but like mental and all the target practice leading up to it, the scouting. It was a good process, and I was really happy with the deer that I ended up taking.
Dang, that's so cool. If you were to describe, now I'm gonna bring on some challenging questions for you, just to get out some main bases. If you were to describe why you hunted, whether that to be for the meat, anything like that, what would be your answer?
Well, hunting, the meat, the horns, all that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I tell everybody, I'd rather take an old mature buck that's only a big 2-point than I would a younger buck that, has a better rack on him. Just for me, it's like, because I got introduced to it at a really young age, and kind of just that love and drive, and it teaches you pretty well discipline, but coming into it, just especially with like big old deer like that, just knowing, because they gotta be on their A game, they gotta survive from predators every day of their life.
Yeah.
Just like satisfaction to me to know that I can outsmart something that all they care about is living and eating, pretty much. Just to know that you can outsmart something like that, just, I don't know, satisfies me personally.
Yeah, I think a big part of it too, like you said, is taking out those big, even not the big but mature deer, even if they're not huge. I think that's a big part of conservation. Like I've been working on, is to get across that hunting is conservation, and that plays a huge part in this. That was a great point that you brought up.
100%, because I don't know, like a lot of things like anti-hunters don't understand is when we go out there and harvest a deer, we're helping the population more than we're hurting it, to be 100% honest.
Yeah, if we're taking it, this is another huge thing, is if we're taking it legal. With that tag, because the biologist has done the studies, he's done the work, and we are just acting upon that work. We are enforcing what he tells us to do. And so, yeah, like you said, we are helping that population way more than we are hurting it. I brought up a point in my last podcast that I just barely got done with. And I said that there was like 100,000 turkeys, and now there is over, like, I can't remember the number, but it was in the millions in like 2000, in 19 something, there was that many turkeys, and now because of hunters, because of biologists, because of us acting upon what they're saying, we have this amount of number of turkeys, and yet we're still killing off turkeys. But like you said, we're helping that population more than we're hurting it. We're not decreasing the amount of turkeys. We are helping them to make sure that those populations are even, to make sure that they have enough food for as many birds as there are, or as many deer there is still that much food. And if there is too many deer, then we need to hand out more tags to get them killed off. And so, not killed off, but killed down, so that
you need to control the population.
Yeah, exactly. And so
yeah.
I think the hunters play a huge part in that.
Yeah.
Any other stories that you've got? That buck
I
is.
got a lot of stories. You just tell me what you want to hear. I got stories about everything.
Let's hear some stories about. Don't know if you've ever had them, but unsuccessful hunts.
Unsuccessful hunts?
Yeah, hunts that you haven't killed, and what runs through your mind during that hunt. I just want to break that down a little bit.
I got more hunts that I haven't succeeded on.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I can't say I didn't succeed.
Yeah,
but I didn't harvest an animal.
Yeah, exactly. I should have put it that way, but yeah.
Because okay, let's go back last year. All right. Last year was my first year hunting elk. Learned a lot for sure. But I had an archery tag. To be 100% honest, I've seen 5 elk. Had a late season cow tag. And just a really nasty canyon, you know what the elk like.
Yeah.
Blast up this little bachelorette herd, 3 cows, and me and my dad had tags. You know, just not a canyon you really want to walk through. But there was elk, so we're like, all right, let's go. We get over there, and we range them and everything, and it was 450 with a rifle, so, it's a really doable shot. Get laid down and everything, and we could have sat there for hours. They didn't know we were there. We kind of just rushed the opportunity, Laid down there and rushed the shot. And like I'm saying, we've walked 3 miles through the nastiest canyon there is. And we just blew our chances on harvesting an animal. But honestly, that's one of the funnest hunts I've been on.
Yeah. What huge part, I just got back from a deer hunt last week. Had to come back for school, sadly, but going through that hunt, we called it the storm on our YouTube because the real reason we called it the storm is the emotion that we had. Like I say, and as the video is ending, I said the storm of emotions was crazy because I was going day one. I was so stoked to get out, so stoked to go hunting, just really fired up. We went out that day, didn't see a deer. Well, we saw a decent 3-point, and it's my first deer with my bow, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get anything down. That's decent, and so I put a stalk on him. Didn't work out. Then my older brother and his buddy had a tag, and here in Utah we do dedicated hunter, as you know, and they have a dedicated tag down there. And so this is their last year, and my brother killed a 180, I think, last year on this unit, and so we really wanted to kill. We really wanted to match that or make that better, and for him or his buddy. And we saw one the night before, the opener, which is you always see big boys before the opener. And then the day of...
Yeah, and then they disappeared the next day.
Yep, they disappeared, and we were yet to see them. And so, after that first day of hunting, we were really, shocked. Last year, not to say it was easy for them last year, but they killed that buck opening morning, and So in a way, it was really easy for them. But not really. But anyways, so we thought it was just gonna be we're gonna glass it up, put a stock on, and that's not the case. It did not happen like that. We came home unsuccessful, not unsuccessful, on harvest. We did not harvest anything. But the memories that we took home from us having to move boulders out of the road because the road got washed out, to driving on the highest point of the mountain in a lightning storm that they're striking 100 feet away from you. It was just crazy hunt. But yeah, that is honestly why we chase hunting so much. There's so many different emotions, so many different lessons that it can teach you. Patience is the number one.
Yes.
If anybody wants to argue that with me, I would love to do a podcast with them, because I've learned patience more than I have learned any other skill in hunting. From blowing stocks, because I can't sit there anymore and watch the buck because it's just annoying. Patience is number one key that I have learned, and I'm still learning. I haven't learned it totally yet. Blew a stock this year on a buck because of patience. Didn't work out. But anyways, yeah. Sorry for that rant, but that was pretty much the emotions. I think the emotions have a big part in why I hunt. I feel so much closer to that animal when I'm hunting it than if I was just going to a national park, so to say, and just watching that. If I feel so much closer. We went on a bear hunt. We killed, and for me, I respect that animal so much more. The words don't even describe. First off, like you said earlier, they are trying to survive predators daily. So for us to outsmart them is just insane. They are so smart. Have the brains of who knows. Anyways, yeah, I think a huge part is the emotion for why most people hunt, and even if we don't harvest, we are still out there hunting, and succeeding with memories or anything like that. Any other stories that you haven't, any other stories that you would like to share? Any deep stories that you've killed and you've learned to respect that animal, or you've respected that animal, or anything?
Well, yeah, I got a story, but first, like, to add on to what you were saying about, like, having more respect for the animal after you harvest it, you know. For me, mostly, like, I think it's because, you know, you chase them in their element and you see what they go through. And like we both said, you got to outsmart them in their zone instead of, like, going to a state park where they know what a human is. They don't care what a human is.
Yeah.
Where the deer that you hunt, you know, all they care about is staying alive.
Exactly. That is what is running through their brain. I don't know what's running through their brain, but that is pretty much what I would think that's running through their brain 24/7, because that is honestly, they are checking the wind. It's crazy. I did a podcast with Aaron Snyder, and he says, it was funny because I really love that man, for reasons, because he doesn't care what gear he has as long as it's what he needs and what he wants and what's comfortable, and I just love that from him. So I asked him a simple question, and I said, like, well, why does that play such a big part? Why does it, like, you're Aaron Snyder, you could be sponsored by so many camo like, you could pick and choose. And I was like, so what's that big part of it? And he says, deer really don't care about what camo pattern you're wearing. So I wear what's comfortable for me. He said the number one thing, sorry I'm getting off topic. He said the number one thing is that to check the wind. He says he checks the wind so often in a stock. He says as long as you're quiet and you're slow moving and you check that wind, make sure that wind's perfect, then you're good. So back to that deer wanting to stay alive. We check the wind just like they're checking the wind. We check the wind so often in an archery stock, and those deer are checking the wind to see if there's any predators or hunters around. I can't count how many times on my fingers that a deer has blown me because of the wind. Because I make one wrong decision and not check the wind. It's so annoying, and it's just because that's their way of survival. If they don't do that, they're gonna die pretty much. And so I think survival to them is the only thing that's really on their mind, and for us to go and take that animal's life, I respect an animal so much more to figure out really what their patterns are. In hunting, we figure out what their patterns are. We break down what they do every day. The terrain that they live in, like you said, the elk. The elk terrain, like any elk terrain, any rams, even high country mule deer. I've seen some films that some people have been putting out of high country mule deer that their terrain that they're hunting in is just sickening. Like you just respect that animal so much.
Especially where I'm from, like if you want to hunt elk, go find the deepest, darkest, nastiest, thickest canyon you can find. That's where they'll be.
Yeah, exactly. It's so weird. But yeah, anyways, I think us as hunters taking that animal's life, respect it so much more. Sorry, that was crazy rant. So back to your story. We're gonna start another story.
Alright. So last year, I guess technically this year in January, went to Arizona to hunt javelinas. And I went down there and I was like, it's a javelina, it'll be probably like 2 hours of hunting and I'll have one down, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
Went down there, and in 3 days I walked 46 miles.
Holy crap.
For a little 60-pound pig,
Yeah.
And it was our second day. We had 3 days to hunt him, and it was our second day, and we set up on this little rock pile, and we're like, let's glass and see if we can find them, because they only move in early mornings and late night. And other than that, they get in that real tall oak brush. You can't really see them because they're only 2 feet tall,
Yeah.
So we go, and I glass, and I was like, hey, there's a deer. And then the guy I was with, he's like, there's 2 pigs, let's go. I hadn't even seen a pig the first day. So we just, beeline it over there. So we get there, and I got my arrow knocked, and he's like, all right, your shot's going to be about 40 yards. Stand up on that ledge to possibly, take the shot. They're nowhere to be found. So we're like, what the heck? Because our wind was good, we were being quiet and everything. And look across at that rock pile we were just on. There's two pigs running right past us. So they switched us sides pretty much. So, we get down to the bottom and we hurry over there. And we jump both the pigs. And it was weird because the guy I was with is hunted them pretty much his whole life and stuff. Takes out like a predator, like a rabbit in distress call,
Mm-hmm.
After we jumped both of them, and he starts like squealing on it. And I was like, what the heck? Come around the corner, and that one was working back at us. So we stopped, and he's like 30 yards. So I stand up there, and I pull back, and I thumped him. Then we're, giving him time to expire. And I asked him, I was like, why'd you pull out a rabbit call? That's weird, we're hunting pigs. And I don't know, he's trying to explain it, but pretty much they think that like one of the members of their little herd or whatever got attacked, and that's like the noise they make when they get attacked.
Wow.
So that brought that pig back to come and like fight. And about 5 minutes later, this guy's a big guy that I'm with, and he didn't bring his bow because he wanted me to kill one, and that other pig came back. So I handed him my bow, and my bow didn't fit him, and he shot about 12 feet over the other pig. But worked down, found the pig and everything, and I don't know, just like I said, walking 48 miles in 3 days for a pig, that you get a whole new respect for them.
Yeah, totally. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. My last podcast I lost reception, so I'll just cut that out. But yeah, so back to that topic. Yeah, I think so. Let me describe this bear hunt real quick that I went on this year with my brother. Idaho bear hunt. Tons of bears up there. Pretty much, well, you can have as many tags as you want up there for a bear. And so we go up there, rifle hunt. I think it was like February, March of this year. I can't remember, but anyways, we go up there, and me, my brother, and my brother's buddy. And last year, my brother's buddy killed one up there, and so we were really stoked. We went up there, glassed the first day, and we were glassing, didn't see anything that whole entire day. It rained, snowed in on us. So then we woke up the next day. It was really slow also, but we went to a different spot, really slow. But I think what's weird is the second we saw that bear, we saw a bear that night. It was about 7:30 when we saw it, and up there it was getting, well, no, I think it was like 6:30 because it got dark at 7:30. And so we saw it, and it was so far away, probably a couple miles. And so my brother and my brother's buddy just start running across this ridge. Their rifle can reach out to like 1,000 yards, but they wanted to get a more ethical shot, wanted to make it perfect. So they wanted to get like 200 yards. So anyways, this video is on my YouTube, but anyways, I stay back, glass it, keep glassing it. Well, they radio me in like probably 15 minutes later, and they're like, we're 200 yards away, we're going to take a shot. I don't know, they shot it, we killed it, and we packed it out of there. But anyways, getting from that low of emotion or thoughts, we pretty much wanted to go home after that. After the first day, it was just so cold, so slow. We just wanted to go home to, within seconds, we were chasing a bear. Within minutes, we had it down. Within hours, we were home. I think that's just so weird that us as hunters are doing that.